Howdy, Jax. Howdy, Chris. Howdy, Faceless Psycho Gaming. Howdy, Faceless Psycho. Martin. I'm going to read to you guys a little bit. I think this is the 29th live video that I've done in a row. Highline. Shane Brewster. Yeah, I would have been here sooner, but I hit a water pipe with my excavator, and it was one that like went from the well to the house, and so I had a big kind of drama. The kids loved it. They were playing in the mud while I was trying to fix it, and all the hardware stores were closed because they're only open till 6 nowadays. Went to Home Depot today, and they were metering people into the Home Depot like it was like the airport or something. It was wild. So my dad, we didn't have any couplers or anything, and it was 1-inch PVC. So we got some heat guns, and we got some 3/4 PVC. So we made a cut in the 1-inch where we needed to make the splice. And then we heated up with heat guns both sides of the 1-inch till it was kind of malleable, moldable. And then we put the fast dry red hot blue stuff on the little piece and shoved it in there really quick and made our own like coupler, and it worked. So MacGyver. Yeah, so many people per square foot is what they're doing. They're not doing that everywhere. It's just like the big stores like Home Depot and stuff. I just turned around and walked away. You know what I was there for? Who can guess why I went to Home Depot earlier today before the water pipe disaster? I was doing it so that I could show up here and have something to show you. It was not PVC pipe. Yeah, I know. The video wasn't even live, Randy. And somebody thumbs down some poor anal retentive child that was never potty trained correctly when they were little and grew up bitter and sad and mad and just has to do his little thumbs down every time, man. He's probably subscribed so that he can make sure and get that thumbs down in there. Yeah, he's like a serial disliker. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But it's okay to, not everyone has to like you, you know? As a matter of fact, I noticed that the videos that go viral, those are the ones that I make money on. If I'm gonna make, it's a tough racket, but if you're gonna make money on a video, it's gonna be a video that transcends the tree crowd. Most regular tree people will get along with me because I love them. And but you gotta break out into the crazy wide world of, you know, the type of people who say, that tree didn't look dead, why are you cutting it down? You know, stuff like that. Like there's only one reason to ever cut a tree down is because it's dead. Surely that's the only reason. But you got to get into the big worldwide web of weird in order to get a viral video. You gotta tap the dislikes. The more dislikes you got, the more likely you're making money on a video. Yeah, that tree stuff video competition. I thought they did a good job with that. I did. I thought that whoever did the edit made it feel like one of those award show things. And it's nice that it's a crowd. The crowd voted, right? So you can't get too mad. If you're one of the people who are like, what? Not that video. What's so great about that? How could that video beat that video, or whatever you're thinking? You can't get too mad because the crowd is the one who made the call, you know. So I liked the other videos. Obviously, I mean, Ace Tree and Reg Coates and Billy Ray's my friend, and then there's videos from people like Petzel who probably spent a lot of money and had like real TV type, you know, nice cameras and stuff. So anywho, congrats, August Hunicke. Hey, he's pronouncing it the German way, which is proper. Except it's Hunicke. If you're gonna spell my name back like the old country would, it's Hunicke. But Ellis Island changed me to Hunicke, I think. We took down a hollow, dangerous tree, and I was told that a carver should have done it. "40-years-old climber, been dropping and climbing trees, and one of the best. I tell all newbies to watch videos." Thank you, Francis. I saw the emails, John. I think it's John. The essential oil emails. My mother is a big time essential oil dealer or whatever. So I understand. I was picking up what you were putting down, and we probably have all that stuff already in the house. But you have such confidence in it that you make me almost believe it could do something. But I'm pretty skeptical because I'm always trying that home remedy stuff because of the people around me that do that. Oh yeah, what did I get from Lowe's? Nothing. I went there to buy a DeWalt grease gun for Adam because of last night on the live video. I went there to buy it, and when I saw the line out the door and down the street and over the hill and to the tree line of the next mountain, I said no. I said Amazon is my friend, and I left. So I just thought somebody would be able to guess that. Maybe they were while I was yakking, yakety yak, chitty chat. Tree peeps are awesome. Other people are weird, says Randy. John says, check your spam folder. That's true. A ton of my emails go to the spam folder and I forget about it. And then occasionally I dig it up and I just see tons of like important stuff that I didn't even know about. Faceless Psycho Gaming. I second that. Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. Amazon is pretty good for me. What's up, Diego? Thanks for popping in. I'm using the Buck and Billy Ray ball every day, guys. Every day. It's one of the main weapons against my back troubles. It really is. I thought it was going to be like, you know, groundbreakingly change the world, amazing, but then I overdid it a little bit. I got to get back. I'm doing it every day. I think it's helping a lot. I think it's the most helpful thing I've done for my back since it went out several years ago. Ordered some stuff for this GoPro and it'll be 3 weeks, it said, to deliver. Okay, well, we're looking forward to the video, Chris. Daniel Navarro, what size saddle? Because we're out of smalls and mediums, because everybody's going crazy at home and shopping on the internet. Some of the stuff I buy on Amazon shows up literally, some of it the next day, some of it 2-3 days. Other stuff takes a long time. You have my directions. Get with your relative. They will probably have these. Yeah, she has all this stuff. I understand the directions. Man, I don't know if I can add the gauntlet of that to my list of things to do. John, I think my mom is 77 or 78, just like you. You guys are big fans of the doTERRA for some reason. Daniel Navarro, are you a large? No, sir. Um, 34, 36-inch waist. You go to the store, you buy jeans. Do you buy 34 waist or 36? Which is it? Congratulations on your Fallen vid. What was that? Buck and Ball. That's a good one. Buck and Balance Ball Challenge 5 minutes a day. Is that an older video or is that a new one? I might have to look at that. There's one of those Buck and Ball videos that just pretty much changed me forever. Until my back went out again. Jordan Jarvis. Get a speed line at monkeybeaver.com. We are not out of stock in those. Hello from Finland. A little late start for you. Already heading for work. Sorry about that. Yeah, we had drama today. I think tomorrow's the last day live stream. The last day I'm committed to. All right, then you can get away with a large, Daniel. We have those in stock. I'll send you one. The Speedline kit, by the way, on monkeybeaver.com. If you price everything out, you will find that you cannot build it on your own for that low of a price. And you won't get the carrying case or the mollies. So it's a good deal. Howdy from Oklahoma City Tree. Howdy, Oklahoma City Tree. Highline says, the one that changed me was the one where he spit on his legs for the grip. Yeah. If I make a ball balancing video, I won't do that. I actually have a little bottle of rubbing alcohol, and I pour that on my hands and to get a grip, so that I'm actually, you know, it's a little bit of a germ fighter rather than germ spreader thing. But you know, if it's you in your living room and it's your own Buck and Billy Ray ball, then that's cool. That was a Buck and Spitzel hatchet, Rick. I won that in a contest. Martin Tree Solutions broke his saddle. How did that happen? In the video chainsaw, what size bar was that towards the end of the video? I think a 42-inch bar. You guys like that video chainsaw? Love that video. Love it. I mean, somebody wrote a song called Chainsaw, and I had to use it. Watching your videos helps me when I'm involved with raptor studies. Oh. One of my biggest inspirations to get through the day, I humble myself every day, and I'm always up for learning new things. Jordan Jarvis must be aspiring or somewhere on the journey of being a tree man. Thanks on the tree stuff award thing. I guess they're going to send some stuff. It's good to see them doing something like that. They used to be really whole hog into stuff like that, so it's nice to see them out there kind of making the mingle happen, you know. They'll do it again maybe next year, huh? Where did we buy the piñata? I don't know where they bought that. The Warren video you can't watch no more because of YouTube. Or because of the music content owner. Maybe you could do a live chat once a month with a set date, like the last Friday of every month, so we have an idea when to watch for you. Okay, Julie. Okay. I can commit to once a month. With a set date, like the last Friday of every month. Let's look at that for a second. Let's just see what would that be like. The last Friday would be the 8th of April, right? Or no, that would be this coming Friday, the 24th. We could start then, huh? I don't know what time I would make it, though. Thank you, Faceless Psycho Gaming. You have a spooky name, but you're always super chill and super cool. You could do 30 days of 2 times per day. Yeah. Yeah. I could do that. Oh, my back. Hey, August. Okay, that's Shad is going to tell us something. Yes, sir, Shad. Hope you're friendly. We're waiting for it. Thinking about the chicane for zigzag. Any opinion? I already gave my opinion on that. And I don't want to be hammering on Petzl no more because they do a lot of other good stuff besides that. What's this about relationships? The secret of life, relationships. Yeah, I'd say. You need to go back to work, he says. Who said that? I've been working every day, man. I don't ever stop working. I am driven to work. If I don't have a tree job to do, I've got something I'm cooking up around here, whether it's a video or we're running 2 companies here out of this house. Matt Wood, shout out to Jared Baxter, get her cut. Get her cut. You're right. That guy, Jared, he's funny. Yeah, he gives you a man hug when you see him. He's like a real dude. He's a cool guy. I'm not a hugger. I'm not. But he is. And so when I see him coming, I'll consider looking for an escape route. But then you kind of want to see him, so you have to put up with it. Buck and Billy Ray gave you a shout out the other day, says Shad. Was that on the axe fitting? How to fit a new handle to an old axe video? Because I think I might have seen that. I was going to read to you guys tonight, and here I am just listening to you. Jordan Jarvis, if you have no pitch in your trees, like no sticky, sappy trees for the most part, then stick with the hitch climber. The zigzag is really nice though. If you want to, go for it. I like it. Yeah, I think I saw that video. You recently did a video on bridges. I called your office to discuss relationships. Oh, that wasn't recently. You mean build a bridge video? The one where I speed lined out monster pieces of wood? That one? That was back when Cheryl Tree bought tree stuff and everybody was tripping because they didn't want tree stuff to be different. And I was just saying, hey, give them a chance. Maybe it's just going to be awesome. You don't know. So that's all I was saying in that video. Matthew just watched 10 videos in a row. John Stedman, Treason has inbred jet. I've got his vids, but nothing like his. I appreciate the confusion. I don't understand that comment. But is that Jed from the Treehouse? I know him. He's pretty good hand. Faceless Psycho Gaming, I'm getting a zigzag soon. I've been climbing on a rope runner for about 3 or 4 years now. Yeah, rope runner's good too if you got no pitch. Again, if you have trees that are loaded with sap and gummy pitch like we do in this part of the world, then you got to go with the uni or the zigzag, in my opinion. All right, I'm going to read to you guys, okay? Sorry I took so long to get started reading, but it's your own fault for asking me questions. I have thought about writing a book on tree work. I have. But when I read this, I realized what a massive, monstrous undertaking of work that this guy went through. And I don't know if I have the patience to break things down. I've told you guys before, my personality is kind of, I have to start a project in order to find my way through it. I can't plan it all out. This guy has a different kind of personality, I think, because he's scientific, big time. Let me just read some of it. This is on the subject of topping trees. General tree topping provisions. The practices used in tree topping are essentially the same as those used in tree falling. Now, we're not really talking about topping as some people would think of it as a pruning method, which I don't consider it to be a valid pruning method. But we're talking about sending some tops, okay? A person must have a fair degree of knowledge about falling trees to understand what is involved when topping them. Remember the story I told you the other night, my very first tree? And I just went up this monster, didn't know how to climb with gear, didn't know how to rappel, didn't know how to navigate my way through a tree, didn't have that skill. Had saw skills though, had logging experience, knew about hinge wood, knew about how to hold wood on one side or the other to get things, knew how to not wreck myself with a chainsaw, which was a great advantage. You should be proficient with a chainsaw before you get up in a tree. Okay? This is what he just said. A person must have a fair degree of knowledge about falling trees to understand what is involved when topping them. A few differences should be noted. The potential hazards resulting from an error in tree topping are higher than in any other phase of tree work. In any other work a climber is doing in the tree, they can almost always put themselves in a safe position above or to the side of their work. In tree topping, there is really no place for the climber to get above or out from under the top. This is really tree falling. Hold on, now why am I not understanding this? This is really tree falling, except that you're safe tied to the stump. Okay, so he's saying you're falling in a tree, but you're tied to it and you can't run away. Safe tied to the stump. The climber is right at the crux of the action with no place to go. You can't afford to make any mistakes here. I strongly advise the beginner read the chapters on tree falling before they top trees. Get some dang understanding of tree falling before you get up in there and start sending tops. Now the next subheading is shifting the favor of the top. Now this is likely going to be where he talks about cutting limbs off of one side to weight the top the direction you want. And in that big tree that he topped from 150 feet up, and it was 7 feet in diameter, he went up there the day before and cut some back weight off of that, cut some limbs off. Go to my video Beranek, Beranek, and you'll see an interview with him, and he talks about that in detail with pictures. Some tops can be deceptively well balanced. When you encounter a top like this, trim some weight off one side to shift the balance to the side you want the top to fall toward. This is called shifting the balance. Remember when I was talking about how I got this book and I started seeing that there were names for everything that I was doing? That was one of the main beauties of this book. When you write a book, you need to know what to call things. And he had a name for all of the things that I was currently doing that I didn't know how to name for. And he had a name for the things I hadn't done yet. You can even go as far as taking the limbs you cut off of one side of the top and load them up in the limbs on the other side. So he's talking about purposely taking back weight off the tree and lodging them, making hangers in the other side, in the limbs, tangling them in the limbs on the side of the tree you want it to fall toward. This is referred to as loading a top. It's a good trick to get the balance of a top where you need it. If you fail to do either of these things and you have misjudged the balance of the top, it could set back. Next, top setting back. Thick book. A very thick book on the things you should know if you're here for tree knowledge or you're just an enthusiast. Can't emphasize the awesomeness of this book enough. If you realize the top is going to set back, there are a number of things you can do. First, stop cutting and get a wedge in the back cut. If you don't have a wedge, now isn't that interesting that he says that? So that's just a little thing that he just quickly mentions. And it sounds like a no-brainer. First, stop cutting. Okay, but it's also the number one fail that you see when somebody has a tree go errant. Go to tree fails on YouTube or wherever you see them, or in your own experience. What do people do when they're cutting and cutting and cutting and the tree still hasn't fallen yet? What do they only have a chainsaw. They have no other knowledge to go with it. What are they going to keep doing if the tree hasn't fallen yet that they shouldn't do? What are they going to keep doing? Tell me. I know you guys know. Somebody's typing it up right now. John Stedman's typing it up. They're going to keep cutting. Joel Cray, yes, sir. Randy, yes. They keep cutting every time. Every time they just keep cutting because it hasn't fallen. And guess what? When the holding wood's gone, it falls. But it doesn't fall where they liked. And it's a big surprise. Oh, just what a freak accident, right? Okay. First, stop cutting, get a wedge in the back cut. If you don't have a wedge, leave the saw in the back cut. It's just a little bit of lift, but it's helping. Huh? Isn't it? Isn't it amazing? Simple. Simple, simple, simple. You need this. Are you a young man? Are you a young woman who wants to get out there and do this stuff? You need this. Okay, I'm getting fired up. Leave the saw in the back cut. It can keep a top from setting back hard. Next, check the hinge wood. If there's sufficient hinge wood to hold the top, there may be no need for alarm. Okay? But if part of the hinge is cut through, any rocking, wind, or shaking of the tree may cause the top to break over the wrong way. If this is a concern, advise any persons below you to go to a safe position, as the top may fall in a road, over power lines, or on a house. Your life may well be in serious danger. Most small tops don't require a lot of power to push them over. You can also reach up and pull them over. Okay, what he's talking about there, you'll do this. You'll do this whether you learned about it from him or not. Someday you'll be, if you haven't done it yet, you'll realize that here's the trunk. You got limbs sticking out the direction you want it to fall. You'll realize that you can reach out there and grab one of those limbs like a pry bar and get crazy leverage compared to just pushing on the stem from the back. That's what he's talking about right there. It's amazing. You can also reach up and pull them over. On tops beyond your ability to push or pull over, you can throw a line up in them and have a person on the ground pull them. If you have a pulsar pole pruner with extensions, you may be able to use it to put a line in the top or to trim some of the weight off the backside. In larger tops, you should always carry a wedge. After an experience of having a top set back, you'll get better at determining their true favor. If there's any doubt, you'll know what the preventive measures to take to ensure that it goes the right way. Pretty good stuff, huh? So the next part, cutting the top astray. Another error a person can make when cutting a top that has deceptive balance is to cut it completely loose and have it go astray. Unfortunately, there is nothing you can do when it happens except take cover wherever you can. He's basically talking about cutting your holding wood off. The cause of this kind of error is false expectations. You believe the favor of the top will carry it over to the face, and you believe it will do this if you keep cutting. Huh? I love this guy. Man, I do. I do. I do. This is a common error in tree falling too. Okay? We already covered this, didn't we? But in topping, you can see that it can be more dangerous because you're tied to the stem, right? Some of the worst stories you will ever hear about. Okay, now we're going with heavy tops. I'm going to read you this short little section right here on heavy tops. Some of the worst stories you will ever hear about massive splitting in the tree resulting in injury to the climber come from cutting out heavy tops. Enter the top and cut out the weight that makes it so heavy, or cut the top out in several pieces. This is the most prudent way to cut out a heavy top. It's a commonly used safety precaution in tree topping. When coming down to cut the remainder of the top, you will often rappel down using the climb line. Some climbers have been known to cut out the very top they were tied into. I just talked about this the other day in a video. I've never done this, but I know somebody who has, and you guys do too. I'll bet you. So let's see here. When coming down to cut the round, let's see. This kind of thing happens when you get in a hurry and don't pay attention to what you're doing. So always look up at the top. Look up. Those two words are the single most important things to tell anybody getting into this line of work. Look up. And if you think you're looking up enough, you're not. This kind of thing happens when you get in a hurry. Okay, let's see. If you look up before cutting, this way you'll spot your line if it's up there. Okay, backing up a heavy top. Isn't it neat? I mean, he doesn't talk too long or too complicated about each of these little sub points. He just the right amount of writing, I think. If you decide to cut out a heavy top, you must understand what happens. As a firm rule, the back cut, once starting in a heavy top, must be able to continue without any hesitation, and must be made as quickly as possible with a minimum hinge before the face closes. Okay, so what he's talking about there is you got a top weighted heavy toward the way you want it to go. You don't want it to barber chair. You don't want it to be splitting out up and down either way. And sometimes a fast cutting chain is super vital for getting through that lean quick. Somebody asked me in a video today why I side snip. Snipping the sides also is a safeguard against barber chair. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's see, with a minimum hinge before the face. You need a powerful and sharp saw to do this. If your progress is slow when making the back cut, a heavy top will start breaking an excessive amount of wood. This can induce a split to run in the top or the trunk of the tree. Binding the top and the trunk with chain can prevent a split from running deep. Or previously he mentioned going up and taking a smaller piece first. When topping trees, it's important you have securing your perch. Securing your perch. I bet these comments are awesome that I'm missing. But I can't do both here. If somebody was not awesome, then I will be sad. But I suspect that y'all are awesome. Yeah, I'm going to think that you're awesome. Here we go. Securing your perch. When topping trees, it's important you have a secure perch. But it can be difficult on a bare trunk. One way of bracing yourself could come by using the following procedure. First, set your safety with a wrap. So he's talking about a flip line going around the tree twice instead of just once. Then set one spur deep and bring the other leg up against the trunk. You won't understand this until you do it. He's talking about leaning hard on your right leg spur or your left, and then bringing the other knee up high and just getting yourself in this like gnarly sort of secure spot. I did it the other day in a video. If you're paying attention, if you look for it, I wish I could tell you the minute mark of it, but you'll notice that one of my knees is just way up high, and my right leg is down hard into the tree. And I was doing it for a secure perch. You'll do it whether you read about it, learn about it, taught about it or not. You'll do it as you come to that phase when it's needed intuitively as you learn how to climb. But reading about it helps. It somehow is awesome and makes me very happy right now. Okay. Let's see. Push against the trunk with that knee or shin to keep the safety taut. So he's talking about keeping the flip line tight. This provides rigidness and improves your stability. You know how it's actually really hard to have stability when you're just hanging off of a line too. You need to push against something before you get good stability. When possible, utilize some limbs and or crotches to assist securing a perch. Even with that, you should brace yourself and be ready for the catapulting action that is so common in topping trees. That catapulting action will bring you back to that spot over and over again. You'll need to feel that again. Also, it's always a good idea to tie in with the climb line before topping out a tree. So he's talking about being tied in twice. If something goes wrong and you get hurt, at least you're tied in with a means of getting to the ground. Now we're going to hear about catapulting action. On straight trees, there is an initial push force exerted on the trunk by the top as it begins tipping over because the top is connected by the hinge and wants to rotate about its center of gravity. The trunk, in turn, pushes on the top, accelerating it in the direction of the fall. About the time the top has laid over horizontal and is leaving the cut, the trunk has stopped moving back and is still pushing on the top, which is now accelerating from a centrifugal pull that reaches its maximum about the time the top leaves the cut. This pull on the trunk combined with the breaking of a beefy hinge can result in significant catapulting action when cutting out heavy tops it's automatic. Another reason why I sometimes will come in on the sides is to diminish some of that heavy hinge tear out at the last. So like the tree is going like this and it's pushing you back like this, and then as it starts to launch, if you have some heavy hinge in here that holds on, it can grab the top and like turn it under more than you like. And then right as this part of the stem is out like this on the catapult, this still hasn't let go. And so it gives you an extra yank forward because you're on the stem, and then it really whips you back. So you can minimize the catapulting action a little bit by getting rid of some of the hinge, and you can do that on the sides a little. Do you understand that? Sometimes, the other day I had Jeff up in a redwood. That'll be on video. And I told him, make an open face cut because we had limited room forward where it was falling, and we needed it to come off and do a full rotation and go butt first out. Redwood's pretty brittle, so it's not a big deal. As big a deal. You don't have to worry as much about the hinge holding on at the end. However, just to be safe, because he's making an open face cut now, he's going to get this thing, the hinge is going to work longer before it lets go. So, it's going to be working longer. Does that make sense? Am I making myself? So I had him open up the face cut, which we normally wouldn't do. Then he kind of came in on the sides a little bit to eliminate some of that last minute hold that we wouldn't really want. A yank. It was a super dead tree. Super dead. Anyway, top came out. Jeff did a perfect job. The top came out, and it fell a long way before it let go, but it let go clean and went down and flopped right out toward the chipper in the driveway. It was amazing. It was a great shot. Good job, Jeff. Let's see here. Catapulting action. Where are we at? About the time the top is laid over horizontal and is leaving the cut, the trunk has stopped moving back and is still pushing on the top, which is now accelerating from a centrifugal pull that reaches its maximum about the time the top leaves the cut. This pull on the trunk, combined with the breaking of a beefy hinge, can result in significant catapulting action when cutting out heavy tops. It's automatic. This catapulting has been the highlight of many a tree topping story. Of course, you love that. There's things you love. You love getting catapulted and the cowboy ride, and you love rappelling, and you love making a long, successful swing to someplace. Those are the three major things we love. Or falling, making a perfect shot, whether it's a rigging swing or whether it's a free fall. Could be a slice. So many things. This catapulting action has been the highlight of many. Okay, all trees do it. So you have to expect it and be ready for it. Secure your perch so you won't get thrown off of it. This is serious. That wrap that he went around, and so his flip line is around the tree. But before he made the top, sent the top, he put a wrap first, and then. So if he does get thrown around and tetherballed around the top of the spar and his saw is tetherballing and beating him upside the head, he's not going to get thrown off. If, you got your climb line choked up there, you got your flip line wrapped, there's ways. There's not always a need for it, but if there's a doubt, go ahead and get a super good, secure attachment. Secure your perch so you won't get thrown off of it, and shut the saw down the instant the hinge wood breaks. remember, you can control the action by how much wood you leave in the hinge to break. Don't leave too much. So when he says don't leave too much, he's referring back to that thing that happens when you get holding wood, holding on at the end of the catapult, where the tree's already gone forward enough. You don't need a heavy thing pulling down on it. Right? Are we deleting trolls? Or are we just keeping it clean? Don't want to hurt anybody's feelings if I don't have to. Let's see, pulling tops. Next. I'm not gonna go all night, guys. I'm just gonna go a little longer, okay? Because I love this subject. Oh my. But it's all good. Okay. Are we okay? Shit. It's 50 minutes. Okay, Jeremy says go for it. Barton Tree Solutions, taking limbs sideways. Yeah, that's a good feel. It's this book, sir. It's this book. Pulling tops. The hazards and mishaps from pulling tops are many. As a rule, you should pull your tops. It's a good safety measure, but a lot of people have gotten hurt by this practice because they didn't follow the rules and concepts of the line angles necessary to pull certain tops. It's hard to get a good angle of pull on some tops because they may be so high up. The error that can occur is that the angle of pull is inadequate and fails to deliver the force needed to pull the top outward. And this is because when it's really high, the rope is kind of pulling it more down into the stem. Instead, it pulls downward. Thank you. I'll just read. I'll just stop adding. If this happens, you're likely to lose the top backwards. To remedy it, get the line angle pulling from an outward direction on the top. This generally means to get a long ways from the tree and have a lot of line. You may improve the angle by pulling from uphill, or even by getting someone to pull the top from up in another tree. And here's some pictures. Got a dead top there, and then we got that big heavy top. In the dead top, you can tell he's tied into another tree. Another line angle rule to adhere to is to keep the angle of pull in lead with the direction the top will be cut out of the tree. Pulling off to one side of it by slight degrees rarely results in any mishaps, but you should never exceed that angle by more than 45 degrees, or you will begin pulling more on the corner of the hinge than in the direction of the intended fall. Exceptions to this are elaborated on in the tree falling chapters, and I'm glad he says that because you'll see on my channel we do a bunch of what I call compensation pulling, where, and he does too, tree swinging and stuff like that, where you're pulling dramatically different direction from where you're trying to fall the tree. But he's not really going into that right here, and he just alluded to another part of the book. Failing to set the pull line high enough over the hinge has been the cause of many lost tops. You always have more leverage to pull a top the higher up over the hinge you set the pull line. It's really as simple as that. But many people over the years get lazy and don't set the pull line high enough. As a rule of thumb, set the line halfway up the top from where you cut it out. There are many exceptions to this. At times you can get by with less, and at times you will need more. The interrelationship of The other two factors mentioned will have a lot to do with where you set the pole line. Over or under tension of the pole line has been the cause of many a topping accident. Over pulling a tree can be devastatingly dangerous. People are afraid that it's not going to go the direction they want it to go, and so they'll have some mechanized pulling strength on it that is too great for the speed that their saw will cut, and so as it starts to go, it breaks. And there you are, barber-chairing a tree that didn't even lean. The exact tension in a line needed to pull any top is dependent on many things besides the ones already covered, although those discussed do govern it a great deal. At times you'll need the line tension to pull the top over after it is cut up. Other times you will need the line tension to pick a top up. First, hold it where it's at so the cut can be made. Then you can give the signal to pull it over. I call that crippling. We do that a lot. We cripple a tree. We get tension on it, but not too much. Just enough to keep it from going over, back, from losing it. Then, when it's all cut up to the desired amount of hinge wood, exactly where we want it, then we give the signal and pull it over. We call it crippling. He might, I don't remember if he uses that terminology. Probably the biggest confusion has been over-tensioning and pulling of the line. What's important is to understand the procedures and signals between the climber and the person doing the pulling. Don't get them confused. Since you may be the climber, you can't afford this kind of error to happen. This is why I say that helmet communication is the greatest addition to our industry since the chainsaw. Believe it strongly that communication is one of the greatest keys to success in tree work and life in general. The exact procedures for pulling tops are much the same as pulling trees. See Chapter 31. The difference between the climber and the faller is that the faller can walk away from a tree that is being pulled, and the climber can't always do that. You might be able to dodge or swing out of the way. You've seen that on my channel where I'll swing somewhere else as it's going. Descending out of a tree before pulling a top is a procedure that requires very careful planning. So he's talking about getting it crippled and then coming down and triggering it. You need just enough holding wood to hold the top until you get down out of the way. Leaving too much hinge wood may require another trip back up the tree to do more cutting. I advise a wide face cut because narrow ones in combination with a beefy hinge can lead to a top tipping and not breaking free of the tree. So it goes, tunk. A situation like that may not be correctable. Hence, do it right the first time. There's so much I could say about that. I'm just going to keep reading. Working out of a climb line that's fixed in a adjacent or nearby tree can offer a climber a safer route to leave the tree after topping. This involves knowledgeable use of the climb line and traverse procedures. I'll read a little bit more here. Pulling side heavy tops. The resulting oh no, I'm back on the catapult. Yes. The resulting catapulting action while doing this he's talking about pulling side heavy tops, can throw a climber completely off their perch. We've seen it on YouTube. The action is not just back and forth, it's orbital. It is the direction of pull versus the direction of recovery when the tree loses its top. This is not a safe time to be running a chainsaw. Tall or spindly trees that are in a lean are candidates for this. I recommend knowledgeable judgment and preparedness in this situation. I have been up some noodly trees, and they've been so noodly that I couldn't. One time in particular, I was climbing a really tall noodly fir tree in Seattle, and I wanted to get up there higher to make a smaller top, but I knew I was starting to get too far up the tree, and my body weight was putting the kind of lean into the tree that it's pushing it down. It's pushing it down the top. The whole tree is moving with my body weight as I go higher and higher, and I'm trying to get as high as I can, right near where maybe I shouldn't go. And sure enough, I went up a little too high, and I could tell this is a one-way trip now. The tree's going, and I just gaffed out and slid down about 15 feet and gaffed back in again. And then the tree righted itself, and I'm like, okay, I can't go too high on this thing. And there's noodly, we're talking trees that can be very small diameter and quite tall. I mean, you can go 100 feet on a noodle. So yeah, that was exciting. Where were we reading here? Pulling the butt. Let's see. Recommend knowledgeable judgment and preparedness in this situation. This is a method used to prompt a treetop to land. Okay, now we're going to talk about pulling on the butt of a top. This is a method used to prompt a treetop to land further out or away from the tree. It works well to get a top to clear an obstacle that lies just under the tree. With the line fixed to the butt of the top, pull smartly, and that means with suddenness, after the top tips over and breaks free of the cut. Timing is super important. Make the face angle approximately 45 degrees and leave minimum hinge wood to break. I bet you this, see, he's talking about, there are people who write books who would tear out this page and burn it. I'm not kidding. There are people making rules, one size fits all rules for dummies, that would leave out some advanced stuff because they would say no one should ever attempt that. When a Jedi tree man would know when to do it and really be happy at how it worked out and do it with skill and grace and class. Good line angles are important here. Without a direct angle of pull from the desired direction, the results can fall short of your expectations. The power, timing, and pull speed in the line are all other factors to consider. Using a stretched out bungee between anchor and line can significantly increase the range effect. And this sometimes with a long rope, a really like polydyne rope, a really dynamic rope can also have this effect as pulling trees, especially with polydyne rope. It's really neat because it's not like pulling with cable, which is a static pull, and you have to have constant motion from the pulling source to keep energy loading it the entire path. But with a heavy dynamic line, it still has stored energy. It's still pulling, even though your anchor isn't moving, your pulling implement. It can be a really neat thing when you know how to use it. Do not confuse this with the discussion on pulling tops. If a top actually needs to be pulled to get it over, then the location of this line will not adequately do it. So he's talking about getting the butt to go further from the stump to clear an obstacle down below, or maybe he wants it to land flat. It's another thing you can do by pulling on the butt after it comes off. Obstacles in the way of the top. This factor is probably the second biggest cause of accidents in tree topping. Obstacles can be hidden limbs, vines, wires, and other tops that can deflect the top you've cut off its course. If the top sideswipes another tree's limbs while it is going over, it will cause the butt to roll off the side of the trunk. If this happens to be the side you're on, it'll land in your lap. Should the top hit broadside against another tree, it will cause the butt to push hard against the trunk and make the tree bow back from the pressure. If or when it breaks loose, the butt of the top can shoot back and hit you. High back cuts can prevent this from happening. Should you cut a top completely loose and it's held by an unseen limb from another tree, it can cause the top to twist off the stump and fall straight down on you. If you're working in the vicinity of power lines and fail to notice them, electrocution is also possible. Tops need a clear path to tip and fall. This next section is very short. It's called Topping Trees in the Wind. Don't top trees in the wind. The wind has been the reason of many a lost top and injury. The wind can exert a tremendous amount of leverage on a tree. It can cause a top to set back, go astray, or split out. Now, Jerry, when he wrote that, was being extra cautious because we all know Jerry has topped some trees in the wind along with everybody that has spent any amount of time up there. Waiting for the wind to tag out. Waiting for a break in the wind before you send it. Being happy you got a sharp saw and you can do it when you need to do it. But we're not talking about that. We're striking that from the record of this discussion because if Jerry thinks that he should not put it into print, then I'm okay with that. Topping near the ground. Never cut a top out of a tree where your height above the ground is less than the distance from your position to the tree's top. Again, playing super safe here. There are exceptions to this rule. It may be safe to top if the trees are small, if you're topping downhill, and if all is clear. However, if that criteria is not met, it can be very unsafe indeed because it puts you in an area where you're faced with both ground and aerial related hazards. I've had some things. I had the top hit and have pieces whipping past me. So it goes on and on. So that'll be enough for tonight then. I think this book is good enough that you would buy it for lots and lots of money if you could find one. Or go to educatedclimber.com. I think you can download it there and get a digital version. What did I miss? Have I ever scheduled a job based on the forecast wind direction? I don't know. I don't remember. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out. And 102 people. Thank you, 102 people. And anyone who couldn't hang for this long of a story. There is a time to cut. You can cut a tree. You can do things. Jerry knows that you can top a tree and be closer to the ground than closer to the top of the tree. But he said there were exceptions. But we're not going to go into it right now. All right, Duke. Thanks, Maddie. No, I got this copy, John, before I knew Jerry. I got this copy way back. But I have other signed books from him. I do. Jeremy Buchanan. Come on now. Thank you. Thank you, sir. You can... I hope you get a hold of this. If you really love this, it looks like you do, Jeremy, then you can find a copy of this thing. Do you already have it? Do you guys like the extra narration? Is it kind of like a textbook that's being expounded? I hope is what I'm going for here. That's what I want, you know. I'm younger than Jerry. I have a significant backlog of experience nowadays. And when I read his stuff, I just know that I'm made for this. And if you are made for this, you'll know when you read this stuff. There's something for everyone, you know? Some people wanna be a computer programmer or a doctor or a veterinarian. And some people, they just get super stinking thrilled over sending a top and having it go perfect and give you a nice ride, don't they? Seriously, thanks, Jerry. Thanks, everybody. Love, peace, joy. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks, moderators. Thanks, Missy and John and Snowman and Jax. Thanks to the Coils. Thanks to all you simple people. The best kind. I'll see you tomorrow for day 30. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll do something.